recording. Let me get hype real quick. You ready? We get hype.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome to the Love Your Brand podcast. If you're looking for real conversations with real people, you're the right place. Let's go!
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome to the Love Your Brand show.
What up, Ramsey?
What's up, Jay Hill? How are you doing today, sir?
Dude, that music gets you hyped up every single time.
Man, it just gets me in the mood where I just want to
What kind of
get on
mood?
the mic. I don't know, just a mood to share the love. To get on the mic and be who we are.
We haven't been on in a minute.
It's been a minute. Life, let me look at the camera. See, we got to get this situation figured out. Life catches you off guard sometimes. Gets busy. So we're trying to be a little more intentional as of late to make this happen. So, Jay Hill, what are we doing? So
I knew that question was coming.
What are we doing? I think we've gotten some feedback. People have been interested in potentially getting on the cast virtually. You know, we traditionally try to do as much in person as possible. So we're upgrading our software capabilities. So today is the first day we're running through this new software. So please bear in mind, and as there is a slight learning curve. But
dude, I'm just hoping we're recording right now. What if we're doing all this and we're not even recording?
Hey, we've been there. We've done that.
Been there, done that.
If anybody knows, following the show. So it's a new setup. So we're trying a few different setups. This is my setup to where I didn't have a lot of time set up.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
My favorite part. So so if you're tuning in, watching this, it's a little different setup than normal. Normally you have a guest. Normally we're in the mobile studio, which we've spent this last year. And so, let's just acknowledge that, Jason. Here we are. We have about a year under our belt with the Love Your Brand podcast. So we started, it was like end of summer last year, slowly started getting all the equipment, got the mics, got everything. And like you just said, it was a learning curve for us. And here we are a year later. I think we have close to 40 episodes under our belt. And so if you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, you got it on YouTube, you got it on Spotify, we got it on Apple Podcast, right at 40 episodes. Some episodes we have with guests, some episodes we have just Jason and I rambling like this. But like Jason was saying earlier, we got some requests for little snippets of information, because time is valuable right now. And, everybody's listening to podcasts on the back end, but really our attention span is so small. So what we're bringing, this is the first kind of episode, if you will, is kind of what's the latest going on with the marketing news, with the business news, the marketing landscape, things like that. So I think we're just going to dive in, just kind of chat through some of the things that are relevant. So people are watching this. I don't know, we're going to go 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes, 5 hours, who knows where it's going to go. But the whole goal is just people can take a little bit of information of what we shared and put it into practice in their businesses today. But I think, Jason, here we are, we're North Carolina boys. I'm right across the border in North Carolina. You're right across the border in South Carolina. And today being October 2nd, as we're recording, we're coming off the cusp of Hurricane Helene that just came through and just decimated the East Coast. I think it hit people up here in North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, that path a lot more or a lot harder than anybody had anticipated. And being we're here local, I think both of us, we have a lot of friends, a lot of businesses that are donating, helping out, bringing up food and water. There are people that are displaced right now, that their homes are gone. The dams in these lakes have just burst. Roads are washed out. Man, we got Chimney Rock here. I grew up going to this place, dude. It's completely gone. The city, the town now is a river that's just gushing through. So just that's the state of the union where we are right now, and our hearts and prayers just go out to anybody that's lost. And so we just put a call out. If you want to contribute in some way, you don't know how, I was listening to something today. It said it's not about money. It doesn't matter how much money you have. These people need food. These people need water. These people just need stuff like that. Get in touch with us, and we'll try to facilitate, since we're right here just a couple hours away from where, all this devastation truly happened.
Yeah, it truly is sad. Us being Carolina boys, I think all this this area, these places holds such sentiment value, growing up in this area and just recently being involved in these areas, and family and friends, and it even spreads over to, even Tennessee. And um, yeah, we've got access to a lot of local ways of support, so we'll try to give as much information possible. Jay Hill's right. I think Helene is like the second deadliest hurricane to strike in the last 55 years, which is mind blowing. But we got a lot of local drives and charities that we'll try to give you access to. Hopefully, the reason why we came up with this new software is so we could post and upload a little more efficient and frequently. So hopefully it's a little more relevant. So by the time you see this, there's still time to support in multiple ways, physically, monetarily, or like Jay Hill said, they need food, water, gas, and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
definitely prayers and goes out to all of them, and just, that's all we can do.
Yeah, man.
So
Totally. Here we are. I mean, so my goal, Jason, dude, I might get this posted today. That would be a dream, but maybe tomorrow.
Pretty impressive.
I mean, if we could post same day, that's going to be impressive. So we're trying to learn this. But here we are, October 2nd. Dude, we're 4 weeks out from Election Day. Last night, I think, was the VP debate. And so I didn't get to watch that.
Vance and Walls.
Did you tune into that?
Yeah, man. It's fourth quarter already, guys. Can't believe it. Blink of an eye. This year has just been such a roller coaster, right? And it's hit or miss with business. People are, they're just holding their cards a little tighter right now, and multiple facets. A little unpredictable landscape. So, hopefully you've got a lot of the political ads and digital push right now, which is driving the cost of advertising and creating a very noisy environment. So it's a tough marketing environment in general. So hopefully, in a month, things will start to settle down in some kind of capacity. It is what it is. Yes, I caught the debate. Didn't know a lot about Mr. Vance. I did watch Hillbilly Elegy, or whatever it's called. What is it called?
Dude, I don't know. You sent me that trailer. You talking about the movie about J.D. Vance?
Yeah.
Hillbilly something.
J.D. Vance. Now, see, I don't want to mess it up.
Hold on, I get it. I'm in our Slack. I'm in our Slack thread.
Check it out.
Give me a second.
Hillbilly Elegy.
Was that it? Hold on. What Jason's talking about, y'all, is that here we go.
Am I pronouncing that?
Hillbilly Elegy, a Ron Howard film.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the story of his life, essentially. That's about.
Wasn't he from here, this area?
I believe so. Jeez, don't get me lying. But didn't know a whole lot about him. He kind of came out of nowhere. So last night, they asked him the first question. It was a multi kind of layered question, and I was impressed how he delivered his first remark by just taking that time to introduce himself to America. And the more I hear him speak, and more, last night he actually paid Walls multiple compliments and said, "Hey, we can be aligned on some of this stuff," right? And it made sense. There was a lot of common sense last night, which I truly enjoyed. There was a lot of policy. It was a good debate, but the more I hear him, the more I'm like, wow, this guy is impressive, as a human being, and as a politician. Truly enjoyed him, and Walls, right? I don't think you heard him last night. He's truly a likable guy. Like, I think
That's
we
what
had
I'm hearing.
discussion earlier, but at the end of the day, I'm not voting on likes and dislikes. You're voting on what you think is going to move the needle and help this country move.
I mean, it's truly policy. This episode, this podcast isn't about politics, but I remember when Trump first ran, and so many people just bashed him for his delivery. And it was like, are we more focused on how polished and eloquent somebody is and articulate they are when they're speaking, or somebody that's actually going to do something and make impact? And so we're not sitting here saying one way or the other who to vote for or who's making a bigger impact. But at the end of the day, we want to see results. If we go back to this hurricane right now, there's a lot of help we're receiving from other states. There's governors from certain states that are sending their National Guard, that are sending supplies up. Some states are sending less. And, some news channels are showing more coverage of the devastation here. Some aren't showing it at all. And so it's like, who you vote for, for me, it doesn't matter how eloquent or articulate they are. It's, are they doing something that's actually making change, making lasting impact, and pulling our country together instead of dividing it?
Yeah, well said. Well said. And no, I totally agree, because our articulation is not, I wouldn't say my biggest strength. So I tend to lean on moving the needle, ladies and gentlemen.
You're very articulate.
Yeah, I guess sometimes when I'm in the mood.
For a Southern boy.
For a Southern boy here in Cackalack.
Hey,
Welcome,
wait,
y'all.
Let me tell you, Jason. So, hey, if you're watching, I had Jason do this yesterday. We were on a huddle in Slack.
Man.
I watched this from a doctor. He talked about, here we are. We're always talking about our cognitive health, right? And so I saw this test, and what it does, if you want to determine your cognitive age. So I'm 46 years old. Jason's 45 years old. So hopefully our cognitive age is either at 45, 46 or less. We don't want to be more, right? And so this test, this doctor was saying, he's like, do this. So if you stand up, raise one leg off the ground, you'll find it's pretty easy. But then the kicker, you got to close your eyes. And the length of time that you can stand on one leg with your eyes closed will determine your cognitive health. So if you're tuning in right now, I challenge you and encourage you to try this. As I was telling Jason yesterday, we're on video just like this. He stands up, he's good, closes that eye, and his body just goes, because it'll mess you up.
I'm on one leg right now. I'm on one leg all day long.
Why don't you close that eye for us? Here we are live, and see how that body's going to tremble.
Hey, I had a little practice yesterday. So here we go.
Close that eye. Let's see. I'm counting. He started moving.
Core.
Keep it.
Oh, let's see. It's tough, guys.
All right. So you were at about 5 seconds there. And if you do 5 seconds, your cognitive age is 65 years old or older. Jeez. So we need some work, Jason. But if you can hold that for about 15 seconds, your cognitive age is about 45, where we are. It is challenging, and it's not relevant at all to anything we're talking about today. But I just thought about it. And if you want to have some fun, you want to laugh, go get your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and just don't tell them the context and say, hey, stand up on one leg, then close your eyes.
Guys, but I believe in practice makes purpose, getting in those reps. So
like that.
You could train. It's like we were talking with a buddy of ours, a little small business owner, and he just started doing some jiu-jitsu. And he's like, man, I'm getting dizzy. That's true. When you start new things, you'll have a discomfort. You'll have, you have to get used to something. You'll have a lot of resistance. I always talk about resistance. You got to push through it. I bet if I sit here and I close my eyes and I keep practicing it every day, I'll slowly get better. I'll slowly get better. Maybe not. Maybe I'm truly am declined to an 80-year-old. But anyway, just a little fun fact.
Totally. Sorry to get us off track. Jason, I was reading something as, kind of focusing on this past week, like with, the business landscape, marketing landscape, just kind of things that are going on. Yeah, I think everything always goes back to the customer experience, the customer journey. And there's a theory out there called the coffee stain theory. I don't know if you ever heard it, but they talk about the coffee stain theory and how it applies to like first impressions that we make with a brand or with our customers or prospects. And so to kind of set context, imagine that you're flying on an airline, for the first time. So the first time you've tried Southwest or American or Delta, whatever it is. And so you get a great ticket price, right? It's a great fare. The check-in and the boarding process is smooth. It's easy. It's such a breeze. You get on the plane. There's a ton of room overhead for your
carry-on
baggage, your clothes. It's a big word. It tripped me up.
It's that 1 foot.
Right? And so you get on, the crew is friendly, they're cordial, the plane is clean, they have nice new cushy seats, just the whole experience is awesome. Then you get in your seat, you put down that tray table, and right there on the tray table is a massive coffee stain. So right there, because of that one coffee stain, your first impression of that airline just took a hit. Okay. Like just chipped away at it, even though you had all those great experiences right there. And so there's this guy, Tom Peters, he wrote a book, In Search of Excellence. And he was the one, I think, that talked about this coffee stain theory and how all these little things matter to the customer experience. And so he had said, I have it written here, an airline executive had told him that passengers will judge the quality and the maintenance of the jet engines by whether or not they see coffee stains on the meal tray. And so, I mean, that's fascinating. They judge the jet engines, the quality of them, based on, is there a coffee stain here? And so it just goes to prove the point. This concept demonstrates how you can do everything right, but that one overlooked detail can make a customer question your whole brand. And so as I was reading that, it's fascinating to me because we focus a lot with B2B, right? And so we're in that B2B space, and, there's B2C as well. But at the end of the day, it's all human to human interaction, and it's all about that customer experience. And so, on this article that I was reading, they basically give kind of 5 takeaways of, how can you focus on that, make that first impression and not go to the demise of the coffee stain. And so number 1, it says, lay out the welcome mat. And so what that means is have a specific procedure in place for acknowledging your customer the first time that, you really have that interaction, or they're sending, some kind of correspondence with them. These are simple things that we often overlook today. It's like, it could be as simple as a phone call, just thanking them for their business. Some clients, and some brands, they send a welcome package to their clients, right after work has started, with just some basic stuff and some novelty items inscribed with the company name. And so these are little details that go a long way. Number 2 would be to learn their preferences inside and out. So Jason, we have a few partners that we work with, and they love that face-to-face interaction that we can give. There's a lot of stuff that we offer, and in the digital age today, you don't have to really go to meetings. You don't have to be in person, because you can get so much stuff done virtually. But we know there's a few clients to where weekly they want to see our face. They want to have a meeting, just giving an update, just listening to them. And so you can't treat everybody the same. You got to know each individual customer's preferences and communicate in that way. Number 3 for this would be follow-up. We all know the phrase, we hear it all the time, the fortune's in the follow-up. And so you got to make it a point to check in with your new customers after each time, that you're sending work, or you're telling them what you're doing for them, because there's a quote that says silence speaks louder than words. And so if we're not communicating to them and talking to them, they can only start making up stories of, hey, are they working? Are they doing something? Are they just taking my money and not doing anything? And then number 4 is remember the power of perception. Now, I love this one because we talk about perception of reality versus reality. And so just remember that every interaction that you're having with your customers, it builds your reputation in their mind. And so, this could be as simple as, when you send out invoices or you're emailing them, are you spelling their name right? Are the invoices correct the first time? You don't want to do things to where you're sending information or a message that shows your company is not very detail oriented. And so it's going to plant that negative seed. And then number 5, the last tip here, is to solve problems quickly and creatively. It's not about messing up. We're all going to mess up. It's about what you do when you mess up. And so don't push it under the rug and just be like, hey, man, we messed up a little bit. I'm not going to talk to my client. Hopefully they'll just forget about it, because they're not going to forget about it. They're going to remember that and see how you showed up. But if you own that mistake, or, hey, we were supposed to get this to you today, it totally dropped the ball on this. I'm sorry about that. We're going to have it to you tomorrow. Own your mistakes. And so those are 5 tips, as I was reading that article on the coffee stains and the first impressions, to where focus on those little details for your clients, and it's going to put you light years ahead of your competition.
I like that, Jay Hill. Thanks for
Good,
bringing
right?
that up, man. Yeah, especially Cinco. That was awesome.
I know. I mean, that's not me. I'm reading an article, and it was relevant.
I don't have an article with me, but it kind of goes back to something we were talking about earlier this week. We were talking about disc profiles and knowing who you are, right? And knowing your strengths and weaknesses, but also knowing your customers, your partners, your audience, how they come into your business. Today's B2B world, it's almost becoming synonymous with B2C.
Yeah.
You've got to have a strong online presence. You've got to have strong authority, strong education funnels. I mean, you might as well be B2C. And I think that's why there's been, a lot of interest in that environment, is because they're still playing a little catch up, right? So it's knowing your audience and being able to kind of adapt who you're talking with, that can come into sales. If you're talking to a high S or a high C versus a high D or a high I, you're never too old to learn something new.
It's good.
I didn't even know I was a high I until
we all do.
Everybody else knew but me. I didn't care. I was like, okay. But I don't know. I just never did. But the more I dig into it, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And then also your funnels, when you're bringing traffic in, they're all different people. Their interests. So one of them might be a high C, where they want to come through a funnel of analytics and data, and that's their love language, right? Another one is just direct, get to the point. High I, like me, hey, I could talk for hours just on a personal level, right?
Right.
It just you need to figure that out in marketing. That's why it's important to have those multiple channels available and those multiple nurture campaigns set up. In B2B nowadays, it's more important than ever. They've got nothing, right? So they're playing catch up. Some aren't, some are. So, now it's how do you leverage AI? How do you build communities on LinkedIn? It's the biggest B2B platform out there. Sustainability is a competitive edge right now in the B2B space. How do we leverage micro influencers? So, the data right now is showing there's more impact with micro influencers versus the ones that have, a gajillion followers, because they're more relatable. They're more trustworthy. People are kind of trying to see through the facade and through the noise. The social commerce and B2B markets, that's a big new lever for them to pull. They're having to jump in whole new platforms and journeys, and they need guidance. It's definitely
good,
a fun
man.
landscape.
As you're talking about that, there was another article that I had found on entrepreneur.com, some awesome stuff on there. And it was talking about how these companies are encouraging and supporting their employees in their personal branding efforts. And, it's not just a strategy for their individual growth, but it's a forward-thinking business approach really to elevate the company in a competitive market. And so because, we all have, if we work for a company or we own our own business, we have the business social media platforms, we have the business brand, but you have, me, I have my personal social media stuff over here with my following. And so the companies are really seeing the importance of tapping into their employees, to where I think Cisco did this earlier this year. They had 84,000 employees that they poured into, like, teaching them, going through courses on being a social media influencer. Because if I'm at the top, like Cisco or any other company, if I tap into this person that has 1,000 followers, now I tap into this person that has 5,000 followers, and you can do the math and see it's like a pyramid scheme. At the very top, you have the organization. You tap into a massive network. And so they're putting this focus on the personal branding aspect of it. And they had some statistics here that said a total of 81% of consumers admitted that their trust in a brand significantly influences their purchasing decisions, with 77% preferring to buy from brands that they follow on social media. That's massive. I saw a quote, it said, trust is the currency of the future. And so it's like all of our activities that we're doing, if we say that there's 8 to 12 touch points that every person has to have with a brand before they purchase, each one of those touch points, if we do it right and provide the right value, it's all about building trust. And so that shows that 81% of these people are purchasing based on trust. And then 77% are purchasing based on who they follow on social media. So for the brands that are saying social media is not big, we know in the B2B, or we know in the B2C space, social media is massive, with the Instagrams, the TikToks, the kind of Facebook. But like what you just said, LinkedIn is the perfect place for B2B. A lot of our partners, we work with them and build strategies on B2B and really how to do that. But it's so interesting to see, what this article is showing, that the personal brand and the business brand are now becoming one. And so people have to focus on that.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Good stuff, man. I think I saw something you posted with you and the wifey. Remind me of what that was again.
Oh, yeah. That was talking about marketing and branding. Too often people don't know the difference. They just kind of merge them together. It's like marketing and branding are the same thing. And they're not. They work together. You have to have both. So what I posted on LinkedIn, I think it said, marketing is like asking her on a date. Branding is the reason why she says yes. And so the marketing tactics are, things that we're doing, pushing out, promotion, all these things to where you're getting your name out, you're getting your brand out. But when we're in front of that person, my wife, when we were dating, or when I wanted to date her, it's easy for me to get myself in front of her. But it's a harder part for her to choose. I'm going to go on a date with him. I'm going to see what he's all about. And so that branding, as we always say, it's like branding is what people are saying about us when we're not in the room. And so they might not always say it to our face. And so the elements that she liked about me, or, she was inquiring to want to know more, I was building my brand. And in a personal relationship, it's just how you show up. If you're authentic, people are going to see that. But for a brand with an organization, it's critical that what are the things that matter to us, and take those 3 to 5 core values and publicly communicate it so people know what your brand stands for. And then in everything that you're doing, if you're emailing, if you're social media, all activities where you're pushing out this stuff, people know what you stand for, because let's talk about the hurricane. Some people, if we communicate that, through natural disasters, we have some kind of thing, we always donate 10% of our proceeds to help out people. There's people that's going to attract and say, I like these people based on what they do. And if you look at those things, it's not as much about the services we provide, giving you SEO or paid PPC campaigns or social media marketing. Yeah, those are things that we do, but it's really the brand elements that people focus on that entice you to want to move forward and do the business with that organization.
Good stuff, man. I initially saw that and I thought about it, and I was like, hey, let's take it a step further. Like branding creates longevity. Branding is what keeps you married, right?
That's good, man.
Right?
Like that.
You've got to adapt in the market, just like in marriage, man. It's a learning process. It's a give and take. You're constantly changing. And with branding, that's what you do. You never stop branding. You never stop growing. So that keeps you married, longevity.
Branding is who you are.
Take it a step further. I saw that, and I was like, man, that's gold. I like that. And I was like, hey, but it keeps you, right? Crazy, man. Anyway, I looked up some good stuff on there, and anyway, I forgot it, but that's the gist of it.
Dude, I like that. One other thing, I brought up, to share today. Here we're right at 30 minutes. I know we want to kind of keep these short, but we could talk all day. We often talk about the different generations, right? And so you got the Gen Zers, you got the millennials, you got the Gen Xers, you got the baby boomers, you got the traditionalists, there's something past that, that there's like a handful of those people left. And dude, we laugh about it all the time. Like, I really don't understand Gen Zers. There's this language they speak, all this. We recently talked to some Gen Zers who talking about the thumbs up, like what, take offense to it or something like that. And it's like, dude, I thumbs up everything. And,
that's my go-to, man.
It's important, right? Yeah. The bicep and the thumbs up. And maybe we're showing our age, because Gen Zers don't put it. But the point with it is that if you have an audience, if you're a business and your audience is Gen Zers, you got to communicate in their language. If your audience is Gen Xers like me and Jason, you got to communicate in our language. And dude, this article, it talked about there's a trend that's going on TikTok right now, and it's called "Let Gen Z Write Your Marketing Script." And so there's these videos from TikTok and Instagram and the Reels, like zoos, museums, and an 880-year-old bed and breakfast are cashing in. Their business has gone through the roof because you have these people that are like 60 years old and they're doing these videos using the Gen Z language. And so it's hilarious, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to, we're testing out the software. If I can try to like overlay this, it's hilarious because I'm looking at this one and this lady is talking about her bed and breakfast, and she's using, all these words like slay, riz, it's giving, brat. Oof. And I don't even know what these words mean, but then they started interviewing like the Gen Zers, and they said, what they say? They were like, the Gen Zers were saying, this kind of marketing works on me. It's making me watch the whole video. And so these people that don't even know what they're doing, I say old people like my parents' age, they're just communicating the way for the Gen Zers, and their zoos are filling up, the museums are filling up with the Gen Zers because they're speaking their language. And so it's just fascinating, this was over this past week, I saw this article to where really hone in, because I think our business is always changing. It's always evolving. Your business strategies you had 10 years ago, 20 years ago is not the same today, because we're going into new generations of people, how people communicate. And so to take a deep dive on your business, I always encourage, take a day each month and kind of get away from what you're doing in the business and really focus on, hey, who is our audience? Has it changed? How do we communicate to them? How is our offer? Like, just take a deep dive and look at your stuff, because it's constantly changing, and what worked yesterday is not going to work tomorrow. So maybe, Jason, we need to do one of these videos and, try to sell something and use these words, riz and slay and brat. And I don't know. I remember talking to somebody, the word bet, and I was like, oh, like bet. And they were like, that was 10 years ago. I'm like, what? So I don't know. Hey, so drop a comment on this video if you speak this language or you don't know what we're talking about. Let us know, man, because I'm clueless.
Well, they need to adapt as well. That's the way I look at it.
I agree.
It's a common ground, right? We got a fellow Gen Zer, and he's like, man, I don't take offense to it. I just know that's how y'all communicate. It's the same with them, right? I mean, it's a little give and take, baby. Come on. Anyway, that's it. That's it for our little short snippet of the week. Hope you see it this week. Maybe not. Who knows? We're on this journey of life and just trying to explore different avenues to get y'all some content, man. So we do appreciate you listening, and thanks for stopping by.
I mean, if there's content you want to hear, like we said, we're evolving as well. And so people want to see things. We'll push out content that you want to see. So if there's specific topics in the marketing business landscape, let us know. We'll do a deep dive. We'll figure out some content and what's relevant each week, and we'll share it with you.
Dude, and we're going to go live. I think this will give us the capability to even go live in some scenarios.
We're going to try. Who knows?
Call-ins. Who knows? Vision. That's how high coming out.
Call-ins.
It's coming down the road.
You and I are the wrong people to get call-ins, man. You got to get that call-in. Jason's going to be like, J Hill, what you got? What you got?
Hey, what you got? Look, no, I'm just joking. We'll handle it. All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Chat with you guys soon.
Peace.